What is going on, everyone? You're listening to the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast, hosted by the Marks, for the Marks, and I am your host, Kyle Gagliardi. And my co-host is my good friend, Jim Tucker, or as I like to call him, Tucky!
What's going on, Hal?
Erica Marini didn't miss a beat. She hops in on the comments right away. Welcome back, boys. Tuck, we are officially back.
Wow. Some thought it would be never. Some thought it would be longer than this, but 119 days from our last podcast, we are reborn, and here we are. A much different format, but it is an exciting time for the Overtime Sports Network and the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast. I'm excited.
So if people have been living under a rock or don't really know you personally, Tucky has made the move to Nevada. Tucky, you want to explain what you've been up to? Because I'm not going to point fingers or anything, but the reason we haven't been recording was because of you, but you have fair reasonings behind that.
Yeah, so my wife and I, this would have been back in May, decided that we were going to move back to Nevada, back to Nevada, her hometown.
That's right.
And found a place, and the big hang up was like what I was going to do as a job, and a job opened up at the high school that she went to. I interviewed and got it, and jumped through all those hoops. We sold our house, bought a house here, moved it across the country. So and before that we had the baseball season, which was hectic and chaotic as always, but yeah, here we are. We're settling in. We're not all moved in yet. The man cave that I'm in right now is not an accurate reflection of the whole house.
Right.
The man cave looks good. The rest of the house, we're still waiting on some furniture and things like that. So
you said you've only been there, what, 2 nights you've slept there in Nevada, and that's it?
Yeah. We've spent the night here in this house for 2 nights, but we've had access to the house for over a week, moving stuff in and unloading the trailer and things like that. So I've got another full week before I start work, and then
that means we'll have a show next week, right? That means we're good to go for next week.
I see us many weeks out. I feel pretty good about it. I'm not coaching a fall sport or anything like that, so Thursdays seem to be pretty good. The high school I'm coaching or teaching at now does have a football team, which was not the case at Couts. So Friday night I might be at a football game. Friday night football at Couts with soccer. So
they might need to put you on the broadcast. You might be holding the stick there for the football team.
Well, something, I wouldn't be surprised if I end up in the booth, being the football announcer or something like that. I don't know anything about football.
I can teach you that. I know a little bit about football. I never played in my life, but
we can watch a game together.
Yeah, we could. That'd be cute. And I've also never wrestled in my life, but we still talk about pro wrestling.
That's true.
I mean, but then again, I had one match. It wasn't televised or anything, but we've talked about that on the show before.
Yeah.
If people are listening, though, at a later time, we are doing this live on StreamYard. It is on our OTM Facebook page. It is on the OTM Twitter page. It is on the OTSN YouTube channel. And Ryan Vogus is in here. He says, goodness, Tuck is hot.
Well, he ain't wrong.
I appreciate that. Not 100% sure what Mikey Wilson's getting out here. You might know this.
You Brown Warriors, look at my calves.
Do we know what that means?
No idea.
Okay, Mikey. So that one we're just going to throw away in the garbage right there. So obviously this is a new format for the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast. We're not going to guarantee that it will be weekly, since Tuck is still trying to get settled in there, trying to figure out his schedule and whatnot. But hopefully we're going to do this as much as possible. So make sure, as always, that you are following us on Twitter at Pod on the Mark. And if you ever want to watch these shows, head on over to the OTSN YouTube channel after the episode is released. You can check us out there. And make sure you follow the Overtime Sports Network on Twitter and Instagram. Where, Jim Tucker?
@_OTSN, baby. The baby is, that's for emphasis. It's @_OTSN.
It's optional, the baby, but we like to throw that on there.
Just like when you're done typing it in, yell it.
So this was what Mikey was going for. Do we still know?
Okay. Okay, touchdown Warriors. I think that's a play on the football thing. But the look at I know he's on crutches right now. There's a lot of crutches in the comment section right now between Vogus and Wilson. I think that's 3 total crutches. It should be 4. But you can ask Ryan Vogus why.
There is a story behind that for sure. So shout out to Mikey Wilson, though. He actually created these graphics underneath us right now. So Crutchgate in the comments from Ryan Vogus. Absolutely.
Very real. It is very real.
So Tuck, we're back. So are the fans. AEW obviously got the first go at it, getting that full capacity stadium for Double or Nothing. And honestly, that show, that was just a little taste. I wanted WWE to get fans back sooner, but Double or Nothing was great. The atmosphere was amazing. And overall, how excited were you just to see fans back at AEW?
Well, in regards to AEW, that was not as momentous to me as it was for WWE, because AEW had sprinkles of fans the whole time, pods, things like that. But when WWE came back, they came back in full force. And even WrestleMania, there were fans, including Ryan Vogus, but it didn't feel, it didn't
25,000, the rain, all that.
So, but it was great. And you could tell with AEW that the wrestlers were feeling off that crowd, even if it was 5,000, 6,000, 7,000, however. No. Yeah. And now you're going into Money in the Bank, Raw, SmackDown, these events. WWE does a great job when the stadium or the arena is packed.
That's the business in general. Like, pro wrestling needs fans. Like, they go hand in hand. Lamb and tuna fish right there. That's what we needed. And we got it back finally this Friday on Friday Night SmackDown. And the big takeaway from that, other than the fact that the fans were back, is that we got to see a call-up, Tuck. This guy was in NXT for a couple years, but Finn Balor is now a part of the main roster. He would come out and attack Sami Zayn. What do you think about Finn Balor finally making his return to the main roster?
Well, the thing with Finn going back down to NXT was that he felt he wasn't being booked right. He was kind of losing the passion. He went down to NXT, and I guess that run was good enough for him to feel the spark to want to go back to the main roster.
This could have been more of a thing of Vince feeling like he needed Finn more than Finn needed the main roster.
I think so. I agree with you there. I think the pick to SmackDown is interesting too, because I think
why is everyone going there?
I don't know. That's my question. Raw could use a guy or two.
Raw's just going to keep rolling out Cedric Alexander and all these guys, while every single person, including Tegan Nox and now Shotzi, who lost her last name, RIP, thoughts and prayers to Shotzi Blackheart. She is just now Shotzi. But they're now on SmackDown. And then tomorrow, Toni Storm is going to make her debut on SmackDown. It seems like they're retooling the women's division a little bit there. Haven't you noticed that over the past couple weeks?
Yeah, and I think they are picking the right ones. The one that does surprise me from the Shotzi side of things was the lack of Ember Moon. She's been to the main roster. She's been up there. I think Tegan is deserving. I was excited to see her there, but to see Shotzi without Ember was a different vibe.
Do you think that's a call on upper management, or do you think Ember had a little bit to say about that, or probably just a mixture of both?
I hope it's a little bit more towards Ember's decision, wanting to stay down, maybe.
Because I would feel bad for Ember if she was like, "Hey, what about me?" And then Vince is like, "God damn it, pal, give me that Tegan Nox."
we need a few ladies for the women's division. Ember's like, "Me," and he's like, "No, not you. Get away, kid."
And he's like, "Hey, can we go to Raw?" "No, we need to go to SmackDown. Fox is paying us way too much money. Screw the USA Network. They don't need anything else. They got Alexa Bliss. She's hypnotizing people over there."
Yes. Yeah.
So we're already preoccupied with that. So those are my big takeaways. Anything else from Friday Night SmackDown? It was cool to see the Bloodline getting a little bit of shine, the new graphics. What do you think of the setup?
I think it's cool. Anything different? It's definitely not the Thunderdome. And in my eyes, I will take it. But
you remember the days when we were just PC shows and there was no noise? How awkward that was.
Mm-hmm. Now I'm interested because they know how well they can pipe in crowd noise and level. I'm interested to see, as things develop, how much leveling and toying with the levels that they will do. It is hard to drown out 25,000, 30,000 people though in those arenas.
Apparently, a lot of people were tweeting back at me that they think there was a lot of pumped-in crowd noise, especially for like the Goldberg segments and whatnot. And we'll get into that much later. Ryan Vogus chiming in the comments. He said the new stage looks great. Yeah, it's virtually just a huge LED screen, but they got the pyro back and everything else going. It's so WWE. I mean, I don't know if overproduced is the word, because that's probably not true, but it just feels a bit like a bigger deal compared to other wrestling companies, if you get what I'm saying.
Well, they spare no expense when it comes to those types of things, sets, presentation and things like that, and that's when you go to these independent shows, and if you have a WWE or AEW mindset and you go to Warrior Wrestling and they're coming out from like a curtain,
underneath the bleachers,
but it shows you, I mean, it shows you how impressive WWE is, even when you compare it to AEW, frankly. I mean, AEW is not terrible, but WWE's here, up, and then there's a large gap between them and everybody else.
The production, the video packages, all that. Ryan Vogus, don't sleep on Frank the Clown's entrance at Warrior Wrestling. The fact that Frank the Clown came in on a damn helicopter at an independent wrestling show is a baller move, Tuck. I kind of wish you were there for that one.
That is one thing that I miss, and quite the upgrade from the, like, was it a gator? What did he come
riding around on a gator, and he had like the fireworks and everything.
Yeah. Wow, Frank the Clown's on the come up.
Yeah, well, he fell off the bleachers thanks to Lance Archer on the last show. I didn't go to that one because I was in St. Louis, but shout out to Lance Archer. We're not going to talk much about AEW until the end of the show with rumors, but Lance Archer is the new NJWP, whatever, all those letters, New Japan.
NJWP, yep.
U.S. champion. That took a lot.
Congrats.
That took a lot to get up.
At least he's getting a rub somewhere.
Yeah, that's true. And he got it over Jon Moxley, so I hope I didn't spoil that for you. Did you not watch Dynamite last night?
Nope.
Spoilers. Okay. Spoiler alert for anybody that didn't watch Dynamite. Archer beats Jon Moxley. You heard it here on the On the Mark Wrestling. Wait, what shirt you got on?
I'm wearing an Ultimate Warrior.
Oh, piece. I thought you were wearing the Pinnacle shirt. Because you know how they have that pink and black one? I got for the brand.
My Pro Wrestling crate will be in. I did successfully change the address for that. That was like one of the first things I changed.
You can't lose out on the Pro Wrestling crate.
Correct.
You can't. That's money right there. So what do you say we talk about Money in the Bank?
I'm in.
All right. So on the pre-show, the Usos defeated the Mysterios to become the 7-time tag team champions. Tuck, the DUI of Jimmy Uso didn't really slow down any momentum or any booking decisions here in WWE.
I think that just goes to show you if you're over, there's a lot of things that WWE can look over and look past. I can't imagine Natalya gets a DUI. Is she still going to be a tag team champion?
Probably canned. Yeah.
So that was the interesting thing to me. I don't even think they made a statement about it. So
no, they kind of just brushed it under the rug a little bit.
That never happened.
And it's probably because they had these plans with the Bloodline holding all the gold, which is very cool. I like the fact that the Usos are holding the tag team belts while Roman is the Universal Champion. It's just an overall good look. And now Naomi apparently is going to SmackDown, and we know that Naomi is married to one of the Usos. What if they get a female involved and maybe go after Bianca Belair's title?
Well, that is all. In regards to Money in the Bank, Naomi was like over. Like people, she was getting. If you remember back to the Money in the Bank that we went to in 2018, when Becky Lynch was not the man. Correct. She was getting the rub, and she was over in Chicago, and then all of a sudden she starts the ascent. So the thing that's nice about having fans back is now fans are going to have a little bit more of an option or choice in navigating the landscape, because now people can hear what they like and just not dial into Twitter, because on Twitter and on social media, you only complain about things you don't like.
Right.
When you're at these shows, you clap, cheer, you do the whole gamut. So I'm excited for that. The thing that is going to trigger me and bug me is that Naomi's going to be on SmackDown and show up, and she's going to be like for like future considerations to Raw. Like if you're going to have two freaking brands, like, that's the thing that bugs me. Whatever.
Yeah, but going back to your crowd thing, I was interested to see how they would react to certain guys because, like you said, all we were getting was social media reaction. It's just do those social media opinions translate over to actual live crowds? And I think for the most part, the reactions that these superstars got in these matches are basically what we were seeing because we know Drew McIntyre was heavily over when he dethroned Brock Lesnar, and when he had that reign during the middle of the pandemic, a lot of people were behind him. But then we started to see those tweets. I don't know how I feel about Drew McIntyre. It's getting kind of stale. And then when he comes out for Money in the Bank, kind of mixed reactions.
Yeah, and I think that showed that he had some work to do in order to start getting over again. And I think he did that on Monday Night Raw the following evening.
He's too talented not to get over on his own.
But again, thank God that fans are there because now you have an accurate gauge. And for a professional like Drew McIntyre, he used it to his advantage.
Absolutely. So the main card kicked off with the women's Money in the Bank match. So going into this, I didn't get to talk to you. Who did you actually think was going to win that match?
I was kind of on the fence. Like for me, I thought Liv Morgan, but then it's staring you right in the face that they're pushing her so much. She's the only one that comes on the pre-show and talks about it. And so I wanted Liv Morgan to win.
I think I was fooled by that too.
I was hoping, cool. But when you look at Money in the Bank and who did win, Nikki A.S.H, it does make sense. I just hate the gimmick.
So you do hate it. I was going to ask you because we obviously haven't had the chance to talk about it. My initial reaction was I hated it. I still don't like it, but it's hard not to root for Nikki Cross, the person. You know what I'm saying?
No, I loved Nikki Cross, the psychopath bouncing all over the place. She's crazy. The whole, like, I don't know, maybe they felt in the women's division they didn't have someone calling out to kids, but this A.S.H, the butterfly, right? I'm almost a superhero. But who is that? 6-year-olds? 7, 8-year-olds?
Yeah. It's a thing to sell merch. It kind of reminded me a little bit of when Mick Foley won the WWE Championship. I don't think this is a spoiler alert. We will talk about it, but Nikki went on to cash in on Monday Night Raw. I think that moment and her winning Money in the Bank and getting 2 moments is just going to be a temporary thing. You know, like Nikki's going to get her shine here for a couple weeks, but I don't see how this turns into anything. So I initially thought Liv was going to win, but like you said, they were kind of pushing that a little too much, and it should have been obvious to me that Liv probably wasn't going to win. But overall, I don't think I was a fan of this match. What were your overall thoughts on the match itself?
As I was watching it, I'll give them props because it's different. That is not the ending you see. That's not the ending you expect. Her kind of stealing it. Is that what you want your champion to do? You know, if her only shtick is like navigating and finding ways out of losses and into wins, that's how you want to book your champion? No, look at Roman Reigns. That is the blueprint on how to book a champion right there.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of people watching it right now. Mikey Wilson chiming in. He says he hates the Nikki A.S.H gimmick, but loves the story that she holds wins now over Ripley and Flair. Yeah, you could see those seeds kind of being planted the weeks leading up to Money in the Bank. She was in those beat the clock challenges. And honestly, I should have thought about that. I was like, they changed her gimmick. She's completely new into this.
Here we go.
They were strapping the rocket to her right away. And you definitely could see the writing is on the wall. I didn't see it, but for me, this match itself, it felt like it was a lot of waiting around for certain spots. And that gets difficult, like you said, with 8 women in that match. It felt clunky and slow at times. And the ending, like you mentioned, man, it just didn't do it for me. So to start off your pay-per-view that way, yes, it was cool getting that surprise with Nikki A.S.H, but I wasn't big on the match itself. I don't know. Maybe I'm alone on that.
No, I knew right away that, like, no, it's not my match of the night. Next, move it. Okay, all right, here we go.
Things did pick up, though, very shortly after that one. We had the Raw Tag Team Champions, AJ Styles and Omos, taking on the Viking Raiders. They obviously retained, as we know now, AJ and Omos, but the build to this match wasn't very strong. They kind of put it together over the last couple weeks. But to me personally, Tuck, it seems like any situation you put the Viking Raiders in, they seem to deliver, and they can have a good match with about anyone.
Yeah, and shout out to WWE for actually replaying their moments in the Anything You Can Do, I Can Do Better challenge from a year ago. I thought that was going to be left in the archives and never mentioned again, and they actually brought it up. It was still terrible. I wouldn't
say it was terrible.
Some of them sucked, but some of them were funny. But again, if you take out the Viking Raiders from that challenge a year ago or from these tag matches, they're not the same. And the Viking Raiders, they're awesome. And because Heavy Machinery is no longer a thing, I think I am hitching my wagon to them as my favorite tag team.
Yeah. Hey, me and you, we kind of have that Heavy Machinery vibe going on because, Tucky, the real Tucky, got released. You didn't get released, but you ventured off into other avenues.
The state of Indiana has released Jim Tucker and traded him to Nevada for future considerations.
Man, what a pickup right there. I wonder who we're going to get in return. But no, I really enjoyed this match. Only thing that I will critique, because I always got something, is that I think Omos still has a lot to learn. I don't know if you noticed it in this match, but the selling wasn't quite there from the big man.
Well, and in the moments where he should look stunned, it looked like he was acting like he was stunned. It didn't look like he was stunned. He was like, the way he would like shake his head and react to some of these moments, not great. I think they are smart in navigating how he's being booked.
Yeah.
They put him in for the power spots. They're letting AJ carry the load. He's where he needs to be when he should be, I think.
Yeah,
but he has to clean up the strikes, the reactions. It kind of takes me out of it, seeing him get punched and like he's acting like he's hurt. He's not actually. Yeah.
And I believe he's 27 years old. I mean, he's younger than both of us. So he's got plenty of time to learn, and he's probably only had 5 or 6 matches in his young WWE career. So they're going to figure it out. I still think, like you said, that the dynamic that they have is very entertaining. It leads me to believe now, though, that they retain these titles, that RK Bro might be next in line for the tag titles. What do we think?
Well, what are you going to do with Brittle? He's super over. People love him. If you're not going to have him pursue gold, I think that's smart. And
I love RK Bro, man. Yeah, wait, where has Randy been? That's a good question. They rid him off TV like 3 or 4 weeks ago, and we haven't seen him since. So hopefully, maybe the Raw that I'm attending. I totally forgot that I'm attending Raw in a couple weeks. Me and Vogus are going August 2nd.
Okay, yeah, it's
coming up.
That's like 2 weeks.
Yeah, not this
the
Raw,
second
but the
Monday
Raw
from
after.
now.
Yeah. So I'm hoping something big. Save Becky Lynch for them. Save Becky, please.
Oh, no. Mikey Wilson and I will be seeing Becky Lynch in Las Vegas.
We can't confirm that yet. We don't know. We can only hope. But yeah, that match I thought was pretty good. So it felt good to go from that women's Money in the Bank match. Like, okay, here we go. The Raw Tag Team Championship.
Last thought on the women's Money in the Bank match. Did you see Becky Lynch posted on Instagram on the day of Money in the Bank? Did you see that?
Yeah, she was trolling.
So one of these days, that's going to happen. So she posts like, I'm at the arena. It would be terrible if someone fell off a ladder.
Yeah, she's constantly done that over the years. But like you said, one of these times she's going to be right. Like she's going to show up. And I'm just hoping selfishly that I am in attendance for it. I'm hoping to see a big pops this year.
Chicago is a venue that WWE always does well at. It's one of the 3 big markets. I would argue that it is the second most valuable market, pro wrestling market, aside from New York, that there is. So I'm not gonna first time back in Chicago with fans. You see what they're doing. They're sparing no expense. Raw had some surprises.
Yeah.
Money in the Bank. So it's not crazy to think.
Yeah, no. And then Mikey Wilson in the comments, imagine Becky comes back in Vegas, Punk comes back in Chicago, OTM is hot. Yeah, we're going to have representatives at both those shows. So
yes.
Well, we might be able to experience some pops here, Tuck. So fingers crossed for the both of us. But
hell yeah.
After that, we got to see Bobby Lashley retain his title against Kofi Kingston. And Tuck, he absolutely destroyed Kofi in this matchup convincingly, and to prove why he is indeed the Almighty.
Rest in peace to Kofi Kingston. Prayers up to him. This is one of those matches where Bobby Lashley made me a believer that he should be champion, because he just wasn't mercilessly beating him down. He was manipulating Kofi in ways for the ref not to see him, and going the extra mile to inflict damage and pain. Kofi's a bad man. Kofi's a dead man. Bobby Lashley is a bad man.
And credit to Kofi, though, because he sold fantastic in this match to make Bobby look like that monster that he is. Mm-hmm. And over the past few weeks, we started to see the more serious side of Bobby Lashley. You know, he ditched the women in the back room, the party atmosphere, the VIP lounge. He's like, no, I gotta get very serious here, because, you know, Kofi's a former WWE champion, and now we know what is in Bobby Lashley's future that we will get to here in about 10 minutes. But overall, I love the booking in this match. I think this is exactly how you book your world champion. And Kofi Kingston was that perfect opponent to have in this situation, because I talked to Mikey about this. I don't know if you watched that brief prediction show we had. I thought Kofi had a shot going into this. What about you? Yeah,
I think Kofi has a shot in any match that he's in because of his history, and you know, he is a former champion he earned that. He didn't sneak his way in. He didn't cash in a briefcase to get it. He earned that opportunity. Absolutely. So I think anytime, you know, I think you easily, like for me in my predictions, I easily said Bobby Lashley, but that could have been a match if you and I were tied in our predictions or something like that. That could have been a match where I flipped because of who Kofi is.
Are we bringing predictions back? I know we can't transfer the bell, but we can still have the title.
On StreamYard, we can put overlays above or below who holds what titles and who holds what gold.
Mikey,
I have a lot of time on my hands.
So. You have time. Mikey apparently has time because the man can't stay healthy over there in men's softball. He popped into this studio setup on StreamYard beforehand to help me out with everything and to make sure everything was running properly. So shout out to Mikey Wilson. He's like the right-hand man of OTM. Like Vogus absolutely. Is the #1 fan, which happy belated birthday to Ryan Vogus. It was his birthday yesterday.
Dirty 30.
Yeah, and he's in the comments. Kofi's last 2 championship matchups, he got absolutely dominated. He's losing credibility. I don't think he's losing credibility if you look at the guys he got demolished by.
Well, like, I would agree with that. I think going into this second match, you're like, it's Kofi, he could do it. And now that he was drugged by Bobby Lashley, you think he's going to sniff a shot at any point that Lashley holds the title now?
Yeah, Mikey, you know I think we were kind of alluding to this a little bit already, that we could have a couple top 5 pops of all time coming up here in the next couple months of wrestling. Like this is the time to be a wrestling fan. I know we said that when we were going through the pandemic stuff. Like once fans get back, that's the time to watch wrestling. Like you used to say to close out our shows all the time, it's a good time to be a wrestling fan.
Well, and you know, it's kind of funny because when we started that pandemic, we're like, fans will be back for SummerSlam of 2020. We're like, we're pretty good. We're pretty confident. Like we're kind of like new to this, but like fans will be back. They'll be back.
Well, we didn't really fully comprehend, I think, COVID. Or we underestimated COVID, I guess you could say. But
shout out to Mikey Wilson in the comments. He said, main event Mikey Wilson. I didn't know he was a big fan of main event, WWE main event, but that's fun.
No, I don't think anybody's saying that, Mikey. We know you are the most humble guy out there for sure. So after that, we had the Raw Women's Championship match. Charlotte Flair defeated Rhea Ripley to get her 11th championship in WWE. And now, for me personally, Tuck, this was the match of the night.
This was the second best match for me.
Okay, that's fair. I just want to say this, though. A lot of Charlotte Flair hate, which I can't stand. She can have a great match with anyone. And Rhea Ripley in this match proved that she can hang. She is elite. And the crowd went from chanting, "We want Becky," to being on the edge of their seat on every near fall.
I think there was a "This is awesome" chant
100%.
At some point in the match too, and Charlotte Flair flipping off the crowd, a little sassy. I like it. And Peacock like blurring it out for like a half a second. You saw Peacock. Her, and then it comes back and she's still holding up the middle finger. It's like, okay, well, you're terrible at your job.
That was the start of a terrible night for Peacock.
Yes, absolutely. I watched about halfway, and then I had a family obligation here in Nevada. And the thing that I forgot is if you stop watching live, you can't go back until it's done. So I had to stay off Twitter, make sure the whole pay-per-view was done, guess in my head, and then go on Peacock and wait for the replay. The replay was scrubbed up, so like it was fine.
Yeah, it was clear.
There were no problems. Yeah.
So overall, what do you think of this women's match? I know you said it was the second best. I honestly think these two developed tremendous chemistry over these past couple matches that they've had.
So, okay, I'm going to take it back a little bit. This was my favorite match of the night. The Money in the Bank match is a different thing. I thought the men's Money in the Bank match was awesome.
It was.
But Charlotte Flair and Rhea Ripley looked like they hated each other. Their expressions, their emotions, it meant something to both of them. And I legitimately think when the crowd starts yelling Becky, I believe that Charlotte Flair is pissed. That's her natural reaction.
I guarantee you both those women use that as a motivation tool. They're like, oh, you're going to talk about something that's not even in the ring while we're busting our ass for you? All right, here we go. And then Charlotte does her top rope moonsault, and Rhea Ripley does a suplex, just completely, just so much strength in Rhea Ripley.
Deadweight suplex, jacked, stacked, loved it.
Yeah, that was a fantastic match. Good for Charlotte Flair. I'm not mad at it. I've always said Charlotte Flair is my GOAT. Who's your women's GOAT? Who would you say is the best of all time?
It's got to be Charlotte Flair.
Okay. I knew you were smart.
I can't think of
Sasha. You could say Sasha.
Not yet.
Trish Stratus.
I don't think you could say it yet. Trish.
Lita.
Those Trish and Lita are legit. They're OGs, but they didn't do the things that Charlotte does. Charlotte had the advantage of like watching them, seeing how things were going, and then innovate. Like the first version of a product is never the best.
Fair.
The second, of an actual product, an actual thing, things continue to improve. The sequel in a movie series, trash. But she got to see what went well and what didn't, and she's capitalized on it. And I don't think it's crazy to think Sasha Banks will be up there, Bianca Belair in 5-10 years. Like,
yeah, I mean, we've said it multiple times too on past episodes. The women's division in WWE is just unmatched. Yeah. They have so much talent there, and to think of where it was in 2015 compared to now is just absolutely insane. So credit to Charlotte Flair. She gets the win. She was the champion at that night, of course. And then the next matchup on Money in the Bank was the men's Money in the Bank matchup. Now, going into this one, who did you think was going to win the men's?
I was between Big E and Seth Rollins, and I was hoping for Seth Rollins, but I did not know why. I think it's just because I like Seth Rollins, and I like to yell "burn it down" a lot, even though that's not even a thing anymore.
Seth in the briefcase, I mean, it's just magic.
Yes. I think Seth is on an upswing. He's since he dropped the Messiah, yeah, that gimmick. So I think between Big E and Seth, that's kind of where I was at. I didn't have a clear winner.
I was on the Riddle train.
Oh, were you?
And then once again, I probably fell into the whole, they're shoving this person down our throat. It's too obvious to pick them, just like with Liv. But yeah. I just thought Riddle with the briefcase, the scooter going around with Randy by his side. Randy could maybe screw him over. That would be very entertaining. But that Nikki A.S.H won. You didn't want to have two winners on Monday Night Raw. So I think the next best person was the man that won. It was Big E that won. But in this matchup, we got multiple oh my God spots from Ricochet. I mean, Ricochet and Johnny Drip Drip, they are over with the crowd.
America's Most Wanted.
Did you see that T-shirt he has?
I will not be buying it, but I love it. Ricochet and John Morrison, I think, going into the match are the two that you could write off the most. But I think they were most utilized for who they are and what they can do. I think they did a great job. You know, you look at John Morrison, he tells the Miz to stay in the back. He wants to do it by himself. And then 5 minutes later, he's linked up with Seth Rollins trying to wreck people. You know, it's just little things like that. And giving Ricochet the opportunity to remind fans of what he's capable of. I love Ricochet.
I do too, but it's just so much you can do in the ring. I need more from you on the mic.
Absolutely.
I can't get emotionally invested in the Ricochet. Like I said, he's going to have oh my God moments in almost every match that he has because he's one of the most talented in the ring. Yeah, you can't sleep on that KO spot as well. I mean, Kevin Owens literally risked his whole body in this match. He was the one that took the brunt of the blows in this Money in the Bank ladder match, arguably the MVP of the match. But like you said, it was fantastic overall. I personally think it was one of, if not the best Money in the Bank matches that we have ever seen. I don't know how many of you've actually seen in the past, but this has to be up there, right?
I don't have a ton of experience watching many Money in the Bank matches, but I think they put a great lineup together. I think 8 might be too much. Maybe 6. I think 6 would be good. I think that's kind of the sweet spot, but they chose 8 right guys where, like, I think a lot of times you can write off like 5 or 6 of the 8 like right away, and then it comes down to 2, unless they pull a bait and switch with like the Tucky last year or Otis last year.
Yeah, but that was an exception just because under the circumstance that we were in. I feel like Otis wouldn't have won if there was a crowd there.
No, not at all. I don't think so. And you know, there's your time, shoot your shot. But I think this was the best cast and crew, and I think they did a great job.
I think that's exactly why, though, Ricochet and John Morrison were in this match, is to improve the quality of the actual Money in the Bank ladder match. Because, you know, putting those two athletic guys that can virtually do anything with a ladder in a ring is only going to make things better. So we know Big E is the winner, but we also need to touch on the fact that Jinder Mahal interfered in this match. So it looks like the feud with him and Drew is probably going to carry over to SummerSlam. I know a lot of people were probably happy with that because, let's be honest, Drew McIntyre winning would have probably got a lot of complaints on the internet.
Well, yeah. I mean, what are you going to do with them? Are you going to send them to SmackDown? You know,
no.
McIntyre and Lashley again? You can't, right? You're not supposed to. So I think it's good. I don't think.
There's the number one Jinder. Bogus will never hinder Jinder. He is part of the Maharaja fan club.
Yes, and Jinder, he's stacked. He is stacked and jacked, and we know Vogus is a BMMBM fan, big meaty men bumping meat.
He is.
And Jinder and Drew certainly fits that category.
Oh hell yeah! Nolan Arenado just hit a homer. Sorry guys, I got it very excited. We're playing the Cubs. It means more. We're up 3-0. If anybody,
there we go.
I know nobody actually cares. I just got a text from my mom. She should see that I'm live right now. Who does she think she is texting me in the middle of this?
Come on, Donna.
We got to be better than that. So honestly, though, that moment that Big E got, and they let him have a moment afterwards with like the camera shots and everything, I got kind of emotional watching that because Big E, out of everybody in that match, probably deserved it the most.
It felt real. It felt genuine. You know, when Sasha won, right? You had chill bumps and goosebumps. You can feel it. I think it meant something to him, and I just really hope that creative doesn't screw up the push.
I don't think you can. I don't think you can screw up Big E. He's got it all. I mean, he's got the charisma, the look, the size, the in-ring ability. How do you mess this up?
I'm trying to think of someone they screwed up from NXT. Keith Lee.
They screwed up Corbin with the Money in the Bank briefcase. I wouldn't say they screwed up Keith Lee, though. I think we still got time there.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on here to the last match, Roman Reigns versus Edge. It was a slow build to this main event, but it definitely picked up towards the later part of it. I think it was just very exciting to see how the fans would finally react to Roman Reigns, because obviously he was the best thing going in pro wrestling over the past year. Nobody's going to argue that with me. There's no argument. It's not Kenny Omega. Sorry. Suck it, AEW, Mark. Suck it, Ian. It is the Tribal Chief. I am acknowledging Roman Reigns right now. Tuck, I am asking you, please acknowledge Roman Reigns.
Okay. Acknowledge. I don't want him knocking at my door, you know, trying to have words with me. So
So Vogus chiming in about Big E with the Money in the Bank. Who's he really go for? Do they insert him into the Bloodline story with The Rock looming? Do we really know if The Rock is 100% looming, though? I mean, he's looming behind.
He's literally looming. Yes, we can confirm. He's right behind you.
I know it's got to be a Big E Roman feud, right?
Yeah.
We'll see.
He's running out of options.
Or he goes over to Raw since the New Day's over on Raw.
No, Fox money.
To avenge Kofi. I don't know. Oh, apparently he's quote unquote confirmed from Bogus for Survivor Series. So.
Oh, I thought that meant SummerSlam.
No, don't get too.
Where's Survivor Series at?
It's a good question. I don't know. I think they announced it, but it's definitely not in Chicago. But going back to this match itself, Edge and Roman, I think they did a great job making sure that anyone could feel like anyone could win at any time. You know, like I was on the edge of my seat. Going into it, I thought Roman Reigns was definitely going to win. But we had so many near falls in this match where they made it convincing enough that Edge had a chance to take the Universal title. What were your thoughts on the main event itself here?
I thought it started a little bit slow, but I do think it makes sense because you're coming off that Money in the Bank match that was hot. And I think if you don't start factoring in like fan psychology and like fatigue and energy, they didn't have to do that for a year, but I think they did a good job managing that early on before it started picking up steam, before it started hitting the ground running. And like you said, there were times where I thought Edge was going to take it, and that made me happy. I didn't believe it. No. What? Great. Yeah.
And what are we going to expect, though, from these two? Like, Edge is a Hall of Famer. Roman Reigns is at his peak. This is what we expected in the main event. And I love the pop that Edge gets nowadays. It's very warranted after all that he's put in coming back. That music, that Titantron, everything there, that's probably my favorite entrance in wrestling right now.
Ooh.
I love it. Absolutely love it. It got me hyped.
I don't think I have one. I don't have a pick because I have been so intermittent. I've really like the last 2 weeks I've been hitting it hard trying to catch up. But the Edge one is pretty sick. I still remember when his music hit for the Royal Rumble at your house.
Yeah, it was right here. It was. That was a very cool moment. So we obviously know that Seth Rollins interfered in this matchup, and he was basically the reason that Roman Reigns retained his title. We got a comment here. Hi, Jim. Looks like you're all settled in. I couldn't go to the concert without you guys. That's what Donna said.
Donna, she's a peach. Take back everything we just said 3 minutes ago about her.
we won't tell her to go back and listen to the show. She won't do it. But
there was no Donna slander at all.
Never would be. How could there be? But Seth Rollins got involved in this one. We kind of assumed that was going to happen after the Money in the Bank match. They cut to the backstage and Rollins was all pissed off and everything. So we definitely are going to get Seth Rollins versus Edge. The seeds were planted there. But the story that we need to talk about right now, and I could break down in tears of joy, is what happened after the match. Roman Reigns gets on the microphone, and then John freaking Cena shows up. The GOAT himself makes an appearance to close out Money in the Bank. Tuck, it was about 10:30 here. I was sitting on my couch, and I absolutely screamed. I guarantee you my next-door neighbor was wondering why this 28-year-old man is screaming. It's because John fucking Cena is back in the WWE. Tuck, how are we feeling?
I'm feeling excited. I was thrilled about it. You know, you're looking down at the bottom corner for that trademark to pop up to indicate the show. The camera's still staying on. He grabs the mic. You're like, what's going on? And then you feel, okay, something's going to happen. I think they did it brilliantly. The pops are real.
That's a top 5 pop of all time.
It has to be. And I think they were really smart by having him just come out and look at the camera. Stare at him, look at Roman, look at the camera. That's it.
That's a moment.
Because if you want to draw eyes, you want to continue to draw eyes. Raw, okay, Cena's back. He's going to open up Raw. Boom, he'll be on SmackDown. Boom, they're going to ride him like a golden show pony until the deal or whatever runs up. But
they're calling it the summer of Cena. So I would anticipate that we're probably going to get 5 to 6 weeks of John Cena, which I'm not complaining because you put him on a card, it instantly makes that card 10 times better. So we know that he and Roman Reigns are probably going to face off at SummerSlam. We knew this was coming. We saw the rumors and the speculation. Even John Cena alluded to it in interviews that he would be making his return, but we didn't know for sure when that moment would be. I knew, though, right when Roman Reigns got on the microphone that John Cena would be coming out, and I still goosebumps down the arm. All-time moment right there. So overall thoughts on Money in the Bank?
Ooh, I thought Money in the Bank was great. Very strong show. First show back with fans. We huff and puff a lot, but you can never sleep on the WWE to be good. Like Toby Keith, they can be as good once as they ever were. And I think this was a great show. Not without its flaws. Wasn't perfect, but
no, it wasn't perfect.
Very entertaining. For Money in the Bank to be a middle of the summer kind of get over show. I think they did a good job setting up storylines heading into, the summer's WrestleMania at SummerSlam. And I can't wait to spend $45 on a cotton t-shirt with John Cena's face on it at SummerSlam.
You got to. I haven't bought Cena merch in forever. Granted, I don't think I'd ever wear that shirt out in public because you're 28-year-old man.
That shirt's ass.
Yeah, it's not great. We need better Cena shirts. So Vogus chiming in here at the end of our Money in the Bank talk. Cena did the too sweet when he came out. Fan theory is still that is Funhouse Cena, wishful thinking. I have seen that theory. They're thinking he did it on Raw too. He's thrown up the too sweet a couple times. They're thinking maybe the Fiend sent John Cena back after Roman Reigns. So Cena, it makes sense. It's far-fetched, but it makes sense. And then maybe John can't beat Roman Reigns. And then after that match, the Fiend comes out.
Or John Cena does beat Roman Reigns, and then the Fiend comes out.
Or John Cena beats Roman Reigns, and he gives the belt to the Fiend.
Because
he's saying he's doing the dirty work.
Like he did his bidding.
See, I love how Vogus threw that out there. I did see that kind of fan theory going around, and it has legs. I think it's too good for WWE to actually do. It's too exciting to actually think that they actually would come up with that, but yeah, it's something to think about. John Cena's back, and that is fucking awesome. So John Cena would end up kicking off Monday Night Raw. But what I want to talk about first here is Bobby Lashley's open challenge. Tuck, going into it, I assumed it would be Goldberg or Brock Lesnar. Was that about your thoughts as well?
Yeah, Keith Lee was not the person that I expected, but I was pleasantly surprised when he did show up. So again, I think WWE's feeling it a little bit. I think they know, okay, we're going to have Lashley issue an open chat. Maybe they're tapped into the rumors and the speculation. They have their thumb on the pulse a little bit better, or they're more concerned about it, because if you continue to do this, right? We think Goldberg or Lesnar is going to come back. Okay, here's another good one. You'll love it. It's a surprise. If they continue to do that, I will continue watching day in, day out. When they go to the well of the same match over and over and over, and don't smartly utilize part-timers the way they could, like the layers in that Cena theory with the Fiend. Wow, there's a lot there. Very complex. It all makes sense. It's great, and it's a way to get Cena out of as a part-timer.
Yeah.
So hats off to WWE, because I was expecting Goldberg 1,000,000%.
Which we ended up getting Goldberg eventually, but when Keith Lee got returned, I was very excited, but I also totally forgot that he doesn't have Bask in His Glory still.
I know.
And that theme song is so bad. Like, it's at Nikki Cross levels from 2 months ago. You remember Nikki Cross's theme? It just didn't match. It just did not match Nikki Cross. So
it was like generic rock song 2 or something like that.
It was not good. So Keith Lee's back. That is awesome. The match between the two, though, was just okay to me. I honestly was surprised with how quickly Lee lost. I thought maybe we would get like a DQ of sorts so we can maybe further build this. What do you think about Keith Lee getting that return moment in front of the live crowd and then just kind of losing very quickly to Bobby Lashley?
Well, I think that's not the first time we're going to see someone strong get defeated early or soon, as we'll allude to later in the night. But the presentation was good. He's, the native Texan. They brought that up. That was cool. I think it does make sense though if you want to make Lashley look as strong as he is. But you're going to get into that Roman problem where if he runs through everybody, who do you have?
You have Goldberg, because after that match, Tuck, we saw Goldberg come back to the WWE. We saw the rumors. We didn't want to buy into it. Yeah, that's happening. So,
yep.
Goldberg's got to be putting him over, right? Is there a funny comment? I haven't seen it.
Bogus.
Yeah, the only person on the internet excited for Goldberg's return. Goldberg, I wouldn't call it credit, but an observation is that he, I believe, is 2-4 in his last 6 matches in WWE. So if this is just to enhance Bobby Lashley, I'm all cool with it. But if Goldberg beats Bobby Lashley, WWE's out of touch with their audience.
Well, and I think the only person it's satisfying, again, Mr. BMMBM, big meaty men bumping meat. There's a lot of options when you factor Goldberg into it. There's a lot of options, a lot of big boys for him to bump meat with. Goldberg and Lashley, big meaty men bumping meat. And if you look at the last comment, throw the title on Bill and let Big E have his dream match. Big meaty men bumping meat.
As much as I want to see that, because we know Big E has mentioned it on his podcast that Goldberg would be that dream match, I don't think WWE would do that. I just don't see Big E cashing in on Goldberg. I just can't see it.
Yeah, I don't. As of right now, nor do I.
But why would you build up Lashley, go through all this for the past couple of months, destroy Kofi Kingston, a former WWE champion, just to lose to a 50-plus-year-old Goldberg who wrestles part-time? It just wouldn't make sense.
It would make sense if you think about WWE booking, but I think they have us on this hopeful end that like, hey, okay, it's not bad. It does, it's not all terrible. So, it happens every time. They get us every time.
Hey, but you could cross that off the bucket list of seeing Goldberg live in person.
I don't know that was on my bucket list.
It wasn't on mine. It might have been. It definitely is on Bogus. I don't know if Bogus has ever seen Goldberg in person. Probably not, but we'll move on from that. Goldberg's back. Good for Keith Lee being back. Hopefully they have some plans for him. But another guy that showed up on Monday Night Raw was the NXT champion, Karrion Kross. So the WWE figured it was a good idea to leak that an hour before he was going to have that debut match, that Karrion Kross was on Raw. Why can't we just let it be a surprise, Tuck? What's wrong with that?
Well, I think they only leaked it to try to get more viewers, but are the people that watch NXT that's not the audience you're going to try to get to Raw.
Agreed.
Do a lot of people watch NXT only?
I don't think so. I think it's more of the NXT's trying to get the people from Raw. You know what I'm saying? Like, because they're getting the bigger audience. Okay. So I don't know. I didn't like that idea to just kind of announce it in the middle of the show. It's your NXT champion. It should be presented as more of a prestigious thing. But once again, it seems like Vince really doesn't care that much about NXT.
Give us the pops. Just give us the pops. I read something that Triple H and Vince had a kerfuffle, and Vince was just fucking with NXT.
I'm not surprised. I'm not.
I hope it was a joke, but
like Vogus said in the comments, we finally at least got to see the return of No More Words, Jeff Hardy's old theme music. I popped pretty hard for that. He was jacked for Kross, as was I. But a thing that was very noticeable out there, Tuck, no Scarlett. Was that a surprise to you?
That's a tragedy. Someone as talented as Scarlett, I think she's essential. Like that was a play on me calling her very attractive, but like the Karrion Kross thing is like you need Scarlett. Like
you need the complete package.
Yes. And
that is the gimmick.
She's good. She's good at being the manager or the side. She's just really good at it. I don't know why they would leave that off. And I want to post one thing about Karrion Kross to you. Listening to the Post Wrestling podcast, they were talking about Karrion Kross's size and kind of persona looking huge in NXT, in the Capitol Wrestling Center and the Performance Center. Yeah. And then as he came out on SmackDown, they felt like he looked not so big. Did you have any thoughts like that? I did not. I thought he sized well, but the guys at Post Wrestling thought, they're like, he doesn't look as big, maybe compared to the Jumbotron or his Titantron, things like that.
I can see that critique, but I didn't personally see it through my own eyes. The only
Put him right next to Scarlett, and he's jacked.
Well, and here's my criticism is I think the presentation of this debut ruined a lot of things. Even the entrance didn't feel the same. You know, the entrance that we get in NXT, that's not what we got on Monday Night Raw. It felt very tame. The crowd really couldn't even get into it. And usually the crowds, at least in NXT, get into Karrion Kross's entrance because it's a great song and a great ambiance around it. But you don't have Scarlett. That's one thing not going against you. The Titantron was a little different. The walk was different to the ring. Everything just wasn't connecting for me. And then we get into the match itself, and it's very quick, and shockingly to probably everybody watching Monday Night Raw, Jeff Hardy would get the win, ending Karrion Kross's undefeated streak in WWE. Now, the internet was obviously livid about this decision. What were your thoughts on the booking of this match?
Well, I think I hated it. I know I hated it, but I think maybe they're trying to show, like, the thing that always triggers me is, like, when you go back to the Survivor Series that we went to, they worked so hard to make NXT look strong and look as a third parallel brand. And it feels like now they're trying to send a message that NXT is their minor league. Why would you send the champion up to face Jeff Hardy of everyone
who's been wrestling on Main Event?
Right. He's not on this wild streak. Like, you could put him up against Riddle, like put him up against some of these former NXT guys.
I wouldn't want to see Riddle. I feel like that would ruin Riddle if you had him lose the Cross.
No, I'm not saying lose. I'm not saying win. I don't need Cross to win but
DQ beating the shit out of Riddle.
Just have him go to Raw and put on a banger.
Yeah.
It was 1 minute and 41 seconds.
And to be fair, I don't think Karrion Kross has really ever had a banger. Like, he's not the 5-star match, but he's got the size and everything going for him where he feels like a big deal. Obviously, I don't like the fact that he lost, but I think there's obviously some reasonings behind it. One being, obviously, I think we are going to get Jeff Hardy versus Karrion Kross probably at SummerSlam. That would be my guess. And then maybe after that, the night after on TakeOver, you get Samoa Joe versus Karrion Kross for the title, and then Joe probably takes that from Kross. That's just my opinion on that. Another thing is, with him losing without Charlotte being there, maybe they play that Scarlett. Sorry, they play that into the story, saying he wasn't focused because she wasn't there. She comes in and she's like, "Hey, what are you doing there without me? You need me." And then she kind of brings him back in, focuses in on Jeff Hardy, and absolutely destroys him next week on Monday Night Raw with Scarlett there. That would be my only reasoning behind it, because other than that, why is Jeff Hardy beating Karrion Kross, who has never lost in WWE?
Well, that was the thing for me. Like, do they have a past connection? Do they have? Is there a previous tie that I was unaware of? It was like,
no.
They just pick a bingo ball out of the hopper, and it's Hardy. Here we go. Give him the old music. That'll be good.
Which good for Jeff Hardy, like you said, got the music, good vibes all around. Beats Karrion Kross. So
shows up to work, figures out he's going to beat the NXT champion. He's like, "Oh shit, okay.
Jeff Hardy's got to get an NXT title shot. Why aren't we talking about that?"
I know.
Put Jeff Hardy in NXT. Fuck it. I don't care.
I know.
I tweeted about this. I don't know if you saw this, but I feel like NXT has lost a little bit of steam. Whether that be, I'm just comparing it to the shows that we've seen on the main roster and in AEW, but it seems like they're missing stuff. They're missing stars, you know?
Well, I agree. It's in such parallel to where they were in SummerSlam weekend. They were just crushing it, and now it's like, okay.
Well, and also NXT's stars have been there for like 5 to 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, where's the allure in that? Like, I've seen these guys wrestle in the main event. No offense to Johnny Gargano. I think he's fantastic, and I think he deserves all the opportunities in the world. But how many times can I see Johnny Gargano face off for the NXT championship?
I agree.
Like, put him on the main roster, and he'd probably get ruined, but whatever. I don't know what you can do with NXT, but that debut was very questionable. Very questionable indeed. So the main event of Monday Night Raw was a Raw Women's Championship match between Charlotte, the champion, and Rhea Ripley. The match itself, Tuck, ended in a DQ, but Rhea Ripley would attack Charlotte after the fact. Then we get the music of Nikki A.S.H. Nikki A.S.H. She's coming down with the briefcase. She cashes in, hits a crossbody. 1, 2, 3. Nikki A.S.H. is the new Raw Women's Champion. A very cool moment here to end Monday Night Raw, wouldn't you say?
I agree. And it already takes one of the briefcases out of play. So now they only have one briefcase to manage. So I think that's smart as well. Now you have Nikki A.S.H. as your champion. You got to figure that out and what that looks like. Is she going to main event? Like, is she going to be in the title match at SummerSlam? Like,
she'll be in the title match at SummerSlam. I think we'll get Charlotte, Rhea, and Nikki in a triple threat, and that'll be a way to take the title off of her. Like I said earlier, I just don't see how she can defend the title. The gimmick just does not translate to winning. Yes, she had her moment winning Money in the Bank. Awesome. That was cool. Cashing in to end Monday Night Raw, another fantastic moment. The crowd was obviously behind Nikki cashing in. Another criticism, though, I have is that it seems like with the women's Money in the Bank, a lot of cash-ins happen within the 24 hours after winning the briefcase. I'd like to see a little bit of a longer play out.
That's like 3 of the last 4 or something. Alexa Bliss, Bailey was a quick cash, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Nikki A.S.H. Yeah. But I like it when didn't Carmella have the briefcase for almost like a full year?
Carmella played with it, and I think you could have done it with Nikki A.S.H. You know, just like the superhero gimmick and having a briefcase and everything. You could sell merch with that as well. Nikki shirts with the briefcase.
That's another superpower, right? That's another superpower that, you know, she isn't a superhero, but she almost is a superhero. And that briefcase gives her, you know, the confidence to continue, you know, like the butterfly thing. But it already worked. It depends on how long they want her to have it.
And it would be cool to see her maybe defend it once. Like I said, I don't know if that's going to happen. Mikey Kubaki Jr. chiming in. Miss you, Jim. Hey, Kubaki. We're talking about wrestling, not baseball and war. So unfortunately, you won't be able. Which, by the way, are we ever going to get Wheelhouse again, or is that DED?
Yeah, we probably will. I'm at least Mikey and I. Rats
wild card
yeah.
He's a wild card like Nikki A.S.H. You just don't know what's going to happen right there.
Yeah.
So I was cool with that. Over under 30-day title reign for Nikki A.S.H. What do we think?
Under.
Oh, is that less than SummerSlam?
Yep.
Okay, yeah.
SummerSlam fits in the 30 days. That's the 21st.
Oh, okay.
Season 2 went for like an episode, Mike.
Yeah, you can't just get canceled. By the way, is this season 2 for us, or are we just kind of just going?
This is on the mark.
We're just riding the wave. We got live shows. We got everything going on here at OT. So overall thoughts on the Raw after Money in the Bank. We obviously were expecting a lot. We got a lot. I was entertained, but I wouldn't say it was great. Probably more on the good side.
You know, like when I talk to you, when I talk to Aaron, when I talk to Vogus, there's a lot of you remember the Raw in Houston when so-and-so did this to that? Like, that was not one of these shows, but it is better than what we've had lately, and a step in the right direction. So I'm confident in it, but like you said, this is not one of those that's going to go back into the archives where like you need to go rewatch it. It was a super memorable moment, but I think it was a good show.
Yeah, and I think there were moments there, like that Nikki moment you're going to be talking about for years to come. Keith Lee, maybe, because he lost, so that kind of ruined everything. And John Cena being there to kick off the show was obviously great. And it sucks because I already looked at Cena's Instagram post. He posted all the events he's going to. He's going to every single Monday Night Raw except for the one in Chicago.
No.
How does John Cena not go to Chicago?
Okay, well, so that Chicago's either going to be ass or they're going to have Becky. A big something. Yeah.
Or Becky. I'm hoping it's Becky. You got to assume. But then again, where does Becky, this goes into the Nikki A.S.H. stuff. Where does Becky find herself now? Who's she going after?
The man versus this superhero.
It's just no, I don't want to see that.
Look at that. And like you said, Nikki the Nikki A.S.H thing will be something that will be remembered for years to come. Do you actually think that?
Yeah, I do.
I think she's just gonna be a trivia question.
In a way, yeah, you're probably right.
Like I don't know. I hope I like Nikki, but I struggle with thinking that she has the star power. But when you compare everyone to Charlotte, Sasha, and Bianca and Bayley, Bayley's legit too. It's like,
yeah, everybody, they're in their own class.
Yeah.
Overall, though, very entertaining weekend for the WWE. It's so good to have the fans back, and hopefully we can figure out the COVID situation again, because I'm seeing murmuring going around that things are spiking. So
don't do that. Don't do that. If you don't talk about it, it doesn't happen.
If you want to, I'm not forcing it on you people. Please get vaccinated. I'm not telling you to do it. You can do what you want, but I would like to attend wrestling events. I would like to attend All Out. I like to attend Monday Night Raw. Tuck would like to attend SummerSlam. So let's just be smart. Let's just be smart. And let's move gears over to our final topic here. This is hot in the streets, Tuck.
Yes.
The AEW rumor mill that is going on. We obviously now know, according to Fightful, that Daniel Bryan has apparently signed with AEW. What is your initial reaction to hearing that Daniel Bryan, no longer in talks with the WWE, has put pencil to paper and is signed with AEW?
Golly, AEW is crowded. It makes you like, okay, I'm excited to see Daniel Bryan or Bryan Danielson in AEW.
Be Bryan Danielson, yes.
That would be great. He's a great wrestler. Cool. They're
gonna bring in eyeballs. It's gonna bring in eyeballs.
Absolutely. But then you think about guys that have been there for like since day one, and again, life is not about fairness and equal playing time and things like that. But there are guys, Lance Archer. I'm trying to think of some of the other big guys.
Anybody in the Dark Order?
Wardlow.
Yeah.
There are
Sean
guys,
Spears.
And again, is Wardlow and Daniel Bryan a match that kind of not really, but
no,
you only have so much screen time. So I'm interested to see how it's going to play out. I know they added the third hour, but when you have 3 hours compared to 5.
Well, we also have Rampage coming on Fridays.
What is that?
It's their secondary show that they're running. It's literally just going to be called AEW Rampage. It'll be live on Friday nights.
2 hours, 1 hour?
I think it's 2. So They are going to, I think this is why these deals and these are being rumored, because they're going to have the TV time now. That was my only concern going into getting guys like a Daniel Bryan, which you got to be honest, Daniel Bryan is a top 5 wrestler in the ring. Yeah. He is. You put him in there with Kenny Omega, it's going to be insane. You put him in there with Sammy Guevara, it's going to be wild. Hangman Page, Brian Cage, Christian Cage. There is so many. Darby Allin. Oh, Darby Allin, Daniel Bryan.
Darby Allin. Have you played the AEW Elite General Manager game?
No. Is it decent?
Nope.
Okay. So I will not be playing the AEW General Manager game.
It's just not my vibe. Okay, so like you book your matches and you gotta. It's just not. No, it's just not my vibe. I'm excited for the video game. I'll probably stream it. August 10th, Lawn Mowing Simulator comes out. I'm gonna. I don't know if that's an Overtime Sports Network type game, but I'm gonna try to.
I promote that. I would promote that.
Just let get mowing and growing. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Enjoy the mow, as you would say. I personally, and I think I tweeted about it. I'm not sure, but I would rather see Daniel Bryan in WWE than AEW, just because he's had so many big moments in WWE with the Yes Movement and all that, beating Triple H, yada, yada, yada. But in AEW, and I know this in Daniel Bryan's head, he wants to explore bigger options. He wants to have matches with different people. He wants to go wrestle in New Japan. And he's going to have that opportunity to do that in AEW if this report is factual. Yeah. So Daniel Bryan going to AEW is a huge get. You would probably say one of, if not the biggest get, but then recently, just hours ago, we get a report that CM Punk, who was in talks with AEW over the past couple of weeks, according to Wrestle Talk, is now apparently a done deal, and that CM Punk is signing with All Elite Wrestling. Wow.
If both of these guys are signed, hello, Tyler. Glad to see you back in the comment section. If AEW signs CM Punk and Bryan Danielson, I think you're edging closer to the Monday Night Wars WCW WWE type thing. I think, man, I don't know. I can't think of bigger pickups. Like,
there isn't. And maybe you could say Jay White, but he doesn't have the mainstream appeal.
No, like AEW would have to sign Roman Reigns.
Like, yeah.
But CM Punk, Daniel Bryan, and you would, when I think of Daniel Bryan, I thought of like a blue blood, like he WWE guy, true and through and through with the Bellas, it just kind of worked. So what kind of money is there? What kind of situation is there for Daniel Bryan to fit into AEW? I don't know,
I don't think the money was a pool with Daniel Bryan. It was more with CM Punk.
Yeah.
Lesnar would be the only other one just because he's been a Vince guy since day one. I definitely agree with Bogus there in the comment section. But let's start fantasy booking here. Obviously, if CM Punk is signed with AEW, you have to debut it all out, right? Like Chicago, CM Punk.
Yeah, absolutely.
And speaking of top 5 pops, that could be a run for the money for the greatest pop of all time. Because WWE doesn't own the rights to Cult of Personality, so they can pull out Cult of Personality at All Out. I don't know if you do that after maybe Hangman potentially beats Kenny Omega, or you just start off the show with CM Punk going out there saying, "I'm here, I'm signed."
No, the buzz is at the end. The Cena drop, like in Money in the Bank. I think that's where it's at. It doesn't have to be the dead last Moxley. Thing. Yes, I think that's it. You want to get the ball rolling. All Out is not where he defends, earns, wins, beats anybody. I think you want that. You want that real pop. You want the good. I think the debut at All Out makes a lot of sense. Is that on a Saturday?
Yeah, no, it's a Sunday.
Sunday,
it's Labor Day weekend.
Labor Day.
Yeah, so we're off on that Monday. At least most of us are. And you're not going to have CM Punk or Bryan Danielson debut in a battle royal. I think All Outs do battle royals, but
no,
they are way too big, way too popular to just throw them into the mix with all those other jabronis. So I would love to see, if we're going to just talk about fantasy booking, I think CM Punk and Darby Allin is money. I don't know why that's the first thing that pops in my mind, is because they both have those edgy characters, but there's going to be so much talent there. Now you got Miro, you have Andrade, you have Hangman, you have Kenny, Jungle Boy, yada, yada, yada. Yeah. Like you said.
Jungle Boy, Daniel Bryan. I think
fantastic.
I think that would be fire.
Love that. You said it too. I think that you get these two guys, things are going to get very interesting. Mm-hmm. Not saying AEW is going to take over, because like we alluded to earlier, WWE is too big.
I think CM Punk has that pull from people that used to watch wrestling. I used to watch CM Punk. And he's on AEW. I'll just watch AEW then.
A name I will reference just off the top of my head. Brett Haskell was a huge CM Punk fan. He stopped watching when Punk left. He would immediately start watching again.
Oh yeah, yep. And that's a +1. Like,
that comment. Punk versus MJF on the mic. Yes.
Ryan Vogus for comment of the week. Well, commenter of the week, most active. He would be the GBL Iron Man of this chat, much like Chris Bartley.
No giveaways.
Wow.
You guys were You were fake news on Twitter all day today.
What?
I never said there was going to be a giveaway. My presence is a present. Okay, that's the giveaway. The return of OTM is the giveaway to the fans.
I think On the Mark might be dead.
Oh, I don't think that's true.
We touted a giveaway. Mikey Wilson confirmed a giveaway as I was at the gym this morning. It came out of nowhere. Ian was pumped. We had a lot of people really excited. You're trying to be the heel. At 2 heel, Kyle.
Yeah, I'm always a heel. Everybody knows that. I just can't work have a face. But hey, any other final thoughts on the potential of CM Punk and Bryan Danielson in AEW?
I could see Daniel Bryan. Like, I feel like Daniel Bryan is more real to me than CM Punk. CM Punk is this mythical returning unicorn that you think and talk about all the time, and it never happens. But any Chicago show you go to, like Warrior Wrestling at Marion Catholic High School, there's a CM Punk chant. Like, people want him back. That would be wild. And for me, I never saw CM Punk, never watched. So like, I'm on the back end of that. I don't have but I'm excited. Like, the pipe bomb was real. Like, I know his work.
That's a top 3 promo of all time.
Right. And I just wasn't active when he watched it. So to me, the only thing that, like, he just doesn't show up.
Vogus brought it up in our wrestling group chat. He was a little bit concerned about his wrestling ability, which I think is a fair criticism, especially at the age of, I believe, 42 years old. I obviously am not expecting this to be prime CM Punk, and I think you kind of got to ease him back into it.
If you could compare CM Punk's skill set, ability-wise, to somebody that I would know, who would you compare him to now?
That's super tough, honestly.
Like, prime CM Punk then versus somebody...
I don't know why this popped into my head. I would say, and it's probably way off, in ring, probably LA Knight.
Okay.
I mean, like, he's not the most amazing wrestler, but he's very good.
Yeah.
And I think his charisma overshadows the wrestling, but he's had classic instant.
Oh, a better Miz. Okay.
Yeah, I could see that too. And now you're starting to kind of see where Punk.
Okay. Yeah.
Like, he's got the submission and everything. Like, he knows that. And you saw the match I told you a long time ago to watch that Money in the Bank match with John Cena. That's a 5-star match every day of the week. But I mean, it was never anything outstanding. Like, Bryan Danielson is a way better wrestler than CM Punk, and those two had great matches too in their feuds. You can go back and watch. I believe they had a match at Money in the Bank that was really good. But like Vogus said, the character was everything. He transcended that time. He overtook John Cena in merchandise sales. So, like,
oh geez,
that just speaks volumes of what he can do with the stick. It's kind of like with MJF on the microphone. It's just a game changer right there.
Yeah.
But Tuck, we're at about an hour and 17 minutes. It was an absolute pleasure to be back recording with you.
I had the tinglies throughout the day, the days leading up to it. Good vibes. I think this went really well. I like the setup. Yes. Hopefully we'll have some people comment. You know, they have a lot more options to watch us.
Yes.
And to consume the product, not just Spotify, Apple, things like that. So what was it? Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube?
Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. We will be doing live shows every single week. And the plan is after we are done with these live videos, I will send over the audio file. And then the next morning, Tuck will release that. You can listen on Spotify and iTunes. So there's really no excuses. You can catch us everywhere at any time.
Well, and now, you know, I used to always get triggered when we were only podcast and people were like, yeah, I got to watch your podcast. And it was just like audio. But now you can watch a podcast. So here you go. We're here.
There you go. We're people pleasers right here. Ryan Vogus, the MVP of the chat. Like you said, he says, welcome back, boys. We are back. OTM is back. The fans are back. Wrestling is hot right now. And I'm gonna let you say it because I know you say it best. But thank you to everybody that joined live or listening at a later date. That's all I got, Tucky.
119 days was a long time, but it is good to be back. I'm looking forward to next week already. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening and watching the On the Mark Wrestling podcast.